show you my toys.
Hey, this is D Hunter bringing you another action figure review. Today we're looking at the Neca Alien Predator 1994 arcade game Dutch and Lynn 2-pack. Boy, have I been looking forward to these for a long time. Lynn here is a character that's unique to that game. This version of Dutch, as crazy as it is also unique to that game. Neca had for years been saying they were going to work on these figures. They didn't have the rights to make them. Eventually they were able to make Dutch, but Capcom owned the rights to Lynn. They couldn't make her. Bam, they made her. Love it. Neca gets around these legal things. I wonder how much they had to pay for this. I don't even want to know. So let's check out the packaging here. You may notice here that I have two of these. For a very long time, I've wanted to get these guys. I bought an extra Lynn to put her head onto a Final Battle Vasquez figure and have her as a Colonial Marine. I've had that figure set aside for like 2 years, it seems like at this point. So let's check out the packaging. Here in the front, and be aware these are from the arcade game, not from the comics, not from the movies. Alien vs. Predator, specifically an arcade game, kind of obscure. I love that Neca's making figures for this after all these years. You can see we got Dutch here, robotic arm. I see pistol, alternate hand probably for her. Some blast effects for one of them. Sword, I'm sure that's for her. And an alternate hand for him on his robot arm. The fact that he has a robot arm is just ridiculous. I believe they called him Schaefer in the game. Maybe they were legally not allowed to say Dutch for whatever reason. I don't really know all the details. She looks great. He looks pretty cool. I'm way more excited for her than him myself. So the top here, Alien vs. Predator. The side, you can see the two of them. Other side, just a generic Alien vs. Predator arcade game logo. Two characters down below. Of course, on the bottom, we've got the barcode, some miscellaneous information, as well as probably some of the people that worked on the figure. And then here we go on the back. Look at the two of them, ready to take on some aliens and predators. Over here, different scenes, them fighting, her fighting the arachnoid alien, just them together, blast effect on his arm. And then on the side here is a checklist for all the different figures. You see at the top we've got the 3 predators, then the 3 aliens, and then the 2 humans, thus completing this arcade game collection. Thank you so much, Neca. Loving them so much, and these guys look like they're going to be on par with the rest of them. So, with no further ado, let's open them up. And this figure was a part of a haul of a bunch of figures from Amazon.com. Sure, their price is outrageous to ship one figure, but if you add more, it's only about $1 more per figure. Alright, well now that we got these figures out of the package, here they are with all their accessories laid out. You can see on the left here we've got Dutch with its giant robotic arm, and even though it's not exactly an accessory, it is a big selling point to the figure. He also comes with an alternate hand and a blast accessory. Really curious to check those out. And then on the right here we've got Lynn. She comes with an alternate hand, a sword, and a pistol. But before we look at the accessories, let's check out the actual figures. So here's Dutch. Like I said before, I believe they call him Schaefer in the game, which is his last name in the film, although never actually used verbally. His robotic arm, now this is something, look at this thing. Kind of reminds me of the T-800 from when we were kids. Has all kind of moving parts, and it is ridiculous in itself, but it's executed pretty well. You can see all kind of different hydraulics, pistons, moving parts. Pretty cool. His shoulder does move inside of here as well. The rest of it looks pretty normal. It might be the same face sculpt as the Dutch we're familiar with. We'll check that out shortly. His hair is definitely different. And then of course you can see his pants painted video game colors, but definitely the same as the original Dutch. And then on the right here we've got Linn. And I will say, this is a character that I'm most excited for this 2-pack. This is a brand new character in the Alien Predator universe. She's a fighter, soldier, Alien Predator killer. Now I believe that these guys are both part of the Colonial Marines in some form or fashion in the video game. Of course in their own unique way. Her colors are very vibrant. I like the camo. She's got this weird thing on her shoulder here, but it's soft, kind of move around a little bit. Will obstruct, I think, the articulation. Really like the way she's made. She's got a sheath for her sword as well as a holster for her pistol. I notice the legs seem very similar to Ripley and Vasquez. We will check all that out in a little bit. So far, I must say, both looking awesome. Home run from Neca again. And then here are the figures broken down as far as I can go with all of the removable parts detached. Dutch here has total 3 hands, 2 right, 1 left, as well as a blast accessory. And then Linn here also has 3 hands, 2 right, 1 left, a sword, and a pistol. And then here are both sets broken down with all the removable pieces detached. Well, now let's take a detailed look at their accessories. Let's start with Dutch's. Like I said before, 2 hands, one's in sort of a fist type shape. The other one's a little bit open. Perhaps he can try to hold something, although it doesn't come with anything, so it's kind of odd. It almost looks like the fingers should be articulated, and they are not. Then he also has this blast accessory. Really excited to kind of check that out. So here he is with his fisted hand. Nothing really spectacular to report here. Go around punching xenomorphs for what it's worth. And then here he is with his open hand. As you can see here, you could actually take her sword, kind of sort of just pop it inside there. And he could kind of sort of hold a sword, as kind of crazy as that looks. And I went ahead and popped on his fisted hand again, and you can actually fit the sword into the small hole here, and he actually holds it even better in the closed hand than the open hand. Kind of amusing. And then I took Linn's pistol and shoved it into his open hand, and her pistol has quite a thick handle, and it fit in there. It's a little bit sort of curved, crooked. It's actually almost too big to fit into his hand properly. It doesn't look too bad. It's oversized, just like this hand is. And then he's got this blast accessory which attaches below his hand into his robotic weapon arm. Looking pretty cool. Definitely looks arcade game-ish, video game-ish. I like it. It looks really cool. Adds a little bit of an action feature to these guys. Pretty cool. That's for sure. And then as you can see here he is using his blast accessory, absolutely destroying a xenomorph. And then here's his blast accessory compared to a couple of different human Colonial Marines blast accessories. Closest to us here, we've got Vasquez with a smart gun, and then a little further in, we've got Vasquez with a pulse rifle, and there is both an attachment for her type of pulse rifle and the male kind that has the strap. And let's not forget about the Predator blast accessories they've given us over the years. A couple different kinds that work with numerous different Predators using the Predator 1 or Predator 2 laser cannon. Next, let's look at Linn's accessories. 2 right hands, a pistol, and a sword. Each right hand is intended to hold a different one of those weapons. Here she is with the smaller hand, the one that can hold the sword. As you can see here, the pistol will definitely 100% not fit in there. And while we're showing off the sword hand, let's show off the sword as well. You can see here, pretty much silver, a little bit of a lighter color, almost white right here at the bottom, and then a black handle. Really nothing spectacular going on here. One thing that is nice is she has this sheath on the back, and of course it is functional, can hold her sword. And then here she is with her sword out, ready for action. And then I thought to myself, what sword-wielding opponents can I put her against? And I came up with these 2 guys. And then here we go. Sword battle to the death. Who do you think is going to come out on top? And then next, here she is with her other hand. This one here has a trigger finger, and it can hold her pistols a little bit wider open. And while we're on the subject of her pistol hand, here's the actual pistol. Really nothing special going on here. Pretty fat handle. Pretty little bit futuristic looking perhaps. But a nice little feature. She has her holster here. And her pistol will fit into it. Do keep in mind you have to push it pretty far in there to get it to go all the way in at the bottom here and look proper. And then here she is holding her pistol, pointing it, getting ready to take out some aliens or some predators. And then Dutch and Lynn back to back, possibly in a tight situation. And the next question I had was, does her sword fit into the trigger finger pistol wielding hand so I could just use that hand all the time and not switch back and forth? And the answer is, it's yes. It fits in there. It's not flopping around too bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is kind of loose to this point, but it's at least staying upright. It's not sort of like, ooh, holding out down there. This is definitely going to be my default hand. I'll keep the other one handy, but I think it works just as well almost here. Not quite as tight. I was also curious, is she able to hold the official movie Colonial Marines weapons, and how does she look with them? Well, here she is holding a pulse rifle. Fits perfect. Looks fantastic. Exact same result with the flamethrower. And works just as good with the smart gun without the harness also. Now that we've taken a detailed look at their accessories, let's check out the height of the figures. These are Neca figures. Typically the humans in Neca are about 7 inches tall. So, looks like she is sitting at about 6.5 inches, and it looks like he's sitting at about 6 3/4 inches tall. Next, let's check out their articulation. Gonna go ahead and start with Dutch. So his head here, of course, it can go around, can move from side to side. It's on a ball in there and has a lot of range of motion. Can look down, not too much, and up, pretty decent. Then his shoulders, regular one, of course, it goes out just about 90 degrees. It's on a ball joint. He can do whatever you want it to do. He's got his elbow, moves up and down, and it's hinged as well. And his wrist can move around, and it's also hinged as well. And now this side. This side's really weird. You can kind of see under here, there is some articulation for his shoulder to go in and out. And it can also go up and down. I am definitely not trying to push the limits here. This other stuff moves with it and doesn't break off. Doesn't really hinder the articulation too much. His elbow can go in and out. You can see there's a little bit of a piece that retracts inside of here. Kind of cool. My other Dutch, his shoulder is totally stuck. I heated it up and still could not free it. Very concerned about breakage. I don't know if you can see in there, but the piece is very, very small. It's connecting right above my fingernail. On this one, this piece comes off, and I don't feel like it's supposed to. The other Dutch, it does not seem to come off, so I might glue that on there if it becomes a burden. His hand, of course, it can go around, and it's hinged as well. Then he's got an ab crunch sort of in the middle here. He has a traditional waist swivel below, and he's got a ball inside of his ab crunch that can allow him to do a fair range of motion. Up and down some, side to side a little bit. His hips go out pretty much full 90 degrees. He's got that sort of ball in the middle where the leg is separate from the ball, which is also separate from the sort of crotch area. Forcing go forward about that far, back really not much, out quite a bit. Single jointed knees with a swivel. His feet, really nice range of motion here. Ankle rockers, first of all, up and down, around. Overall, pretty decent. Not a big surprise if you have any of the human Dutch figures they've already released. Next, let's check out Lynn's articulation. So first of all, she's got hair, and it sure is articulated. It can go around, up, down. It does come out pretty easily as well, I noticed. So her head, yeah, it can go around. It can tilt from side to side. It's got a ball in there with a nice range of motion. Up at its most, that far, and then down, pretty decent amount. Now, both her shoulders are the same, but this one is hindered considerably by this big ol' bulky thing. You can go out about that far and you're not going to go up really any more than that. This side can go out not quite 90 degrees, forward, etc., etc. Single jointed elbow, and it's got a swivel as well. Then her wrists, they can go around, and they also have a hinge, which is what I meant to say the first time. So she doesn't seem to have an ab crunch under here. It seems to be a solid piece with this soft armor on top. She does have a ball down here where her waist swivel is. Not just going around, can also go up and down, all the way around. Her legs, they don't go out 90 degrees. They're a little bit obstructed from this sort of soft rubber part here. Up, out, that far, back, not at all, and out, not too much. Single jointed knees with, of course, a swivel. Then her feet, of course, they go up and down some, and go around, and they do rock as well. And one thing I do really want to point out is her bangs. I like them a lot. I think they look really good, pretty cool. Just a nice little feature overall. Next, let's compare these figures with other action figures. Starting off with some other 1994 arcade game figures. Then we'll look at some other Dutch figures compared to Dutch, and some other female Alien Predator figures compared to Linn. Here they are next to the 3 Predator figures from the arcade game. These were the first 3 figures from this series released. They came out a couple months ago and left a desire for the other figures, and these guys were probably kind of the most dull of the 3 different waves, being Predator, Aliens, and Humans. I know I was most excited for the Aliens and Humans, although these Predators are pretty cool as well. I have them grouped up this way because these 2 guys here are playable characters. You could play as any of these 4 characters in the game co-op. And this guy here was a boss at the end. So these 2 are trying to help humanity fight the aliens, and I'm honestly not sure what his agenda was. You have to take him down during the game, I believe. And then here they are compared to the aliens from this game. These aliens are absolutely splendid, fantastic figures. You can see they're looming over the humans. And then here it is, the entire 1994 Alien vs. Predator arcade game NECA collection. All 8 figures. Don't forget the little facehugger and chestburster at the bottom as well. Really, really awesome collection. Love it, NECA. I'd forgotten about this game since my childhood, and boy, I'm so happy you guys made these guys. Just so glad you guys got an opportunity to do something so cool and creative. And then as you can see here, here's a big old battle between all the different characters from this game. Who's going to come out on top? The fate of the Earth depends on it. And then here they are, just like in the game, reluctant allies. So let's look at these 2 Dutch figures together. I find these to be the most comparable Dutch figures. Let's check out all the reuse. So, starting at the bottom, the feet, I'd say they're identical, obviously painted differently. The legs, they're the same except that this guy's got some knee pads put on top, some rubber ones. I'd say identical from the waist down. And then above, I think it's the exact same. Chest, minus this vest. The arms, definitely the same. Hands are different, but this is reused for some different figures they've had before. Obviously those arms are completely different. And then their heads. So I'd say here it does look like it could be the same sculpt. Yeah, look at the mouth, it looks very similar. Obviously the hair was redone for this guy. Now here's this Dutch figure compared to all the different Dutch figures that they've made. Pretty much all of these are from different variations of his looks in the first Predator film, except for, of course, the Dutch with a robotic arm from this arcade game. I do think it's fair to add NECA Commando to this team of Dutches, even though he's not actually a Dutch figure. And then, of course, there are always more and more and more Dutch figures. And here are all the different non-Dutch Arnold Schwarzenegger figures that I have compared to this arcade Dutch. Pretty much all of them are from the Terminator franchise, Except for this guy at the front here. He's an Arnold head popped onto a wrestler to be the governor. And then here's this Dutch next to the rest of his team from the first Predator film, at least the rest of it that I have. From left to right we've got Hawkins, and then Dylan, and then of course the arcade Dutch, and then Billy, and then Anna. Really hoping to complete the other few guys from the film in the future. And then here he is next to the ultimate jungle hunter from the first Predator film. So now it's Lynn's turn to get some comparison pictures with other figures. Here is Linn compared to Final Battle Vasquez, who I'm guessing is where most of the parts came from. So obviously their feet completely different. Bottom part of the legs definitely different. Her pants are a lot thicker and puffier. The top part, I'd say, could very easily be the same, this part of the leg. Her crotch area appears to be identical from Vasquez. Her buff torso area is definitely going to be different. Of course, I can't really see what's under the soft rubber here. Her arms, they appear to be the same as Vasquez, including the hands. Just a little rubber shoulder or elbow pad added. So moderate reuse. And there's some new stuff as well. Now I mentioned buying 2 of these Linn figures with the intent of making a Marine using the Final Battle Vasquez body. Now the head fit on there and it actually looks proportionately pretty good, but boys are skin tone off. The only way to make this work is to repaint Vasquez a paler skin tone, but I must say, pretty cool to have her in a movie realistic sort of look. And I actually did the exact same thing with Machiko back when she came out. She had the exact same problem. She's quite a bit pale compared to Vasquez's body. I guess these women in space don't get a lot of sun. And then here she is compared to several different Ripley action figures. And then here she is next to an absolute whole bunch of different female Colonial Marine figures. And then here's an aerial shot. These are just the women in my Colonial Marines army. And then here she is next to Machiko, the human predator. And then here's Dutch and Linn as they would compare next to some various humans from Neca Alien Predator lines. And here they are compared to a couple of ultimate xenomorphs from the 1986 film Aliens. Here they are next to a couple of ultimate predators from Predator 1 and Predator 2. Here they are next to a couple of engineer figures from Prometheus. And then here they are paired with some standard Colonial Marines fighting with some aliens in a huge battle for their lives. And in the words of Vasquez, let's rock. And then here they are working together trying to take down a Predator upgrade assassin. And just FYI, no, Linn does not fit into a power loader, mainly because of her armor pieces and sword sheath. So overall, I must say, I like these figures a lot. These guys are really hyped up for me, and they did deliver, which is awesome. Really excited for this Linn figure in particular, a new character, one never even fathomed would be made, and here it is in front of me, joining the fight against aliens and predators. If I were to rate these figures, I'd probably give Dutch a 7 out of 10. Not super fond of the design, they did execute it well, and I have so many Dutch figures, but Linn, I'm going to give her a 9 out of 10. Given this combined pack, probably an 8 out of 10, but Linn is the home run. Really like her, has kind of a Street Fighter vibe to her. Highly recommend you guys get this if you're interested. This is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add it in the comments below. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.